That means it's
I'll
for your sake.
We are recording, we're just, waiting for 8 o'clock and for the mayor to maybe ask the drillers to give us a break. Okay. I'm gonna call the meeting of the Public Health and Safety Standing Committee of Tuesday, September 9th to order. And we'll start with the minutes. Thank you, Anne. Appreciate it.
My pleasure.
Patty, did you get the small correction as well?
No, I did not, but. I changed it from Hagan to Hauser. Okay, thank you.
And so he changed, yeah, so he,
That's okay.
and everybody approved?
I approve, I move to approve. Second.
Thank you. The vote is unanimous. Chief Schrock, can we have an update, please?
Yes, from August 1 to August 30th, we recorded 368 calls for service, including 167 traffic stops and 35 citations.
Wow. Not too bad. And nothing super serious during that time? Is it mostly, the public, or is it,
Off the top of my head,
Volunteers.
in terms of seriousness, off the top of my head, nothing really jumps out right now.
well, that's good.
The last meeting, you were inquiring about SRO. Any news on that grant?
Yeah, so I spoke with Danae about that. She was responsible for pretty much everything from A to Z, putting that together. And she said we should have a definitive answer by the end of the month.
In the month, okay.
Should.
Yeah, I know how that goes.
I did go on Red Lodge Debate, so I could get some public opinion on SRO. And I think that there's a misunderstanding of exactly what an SRO is. They just think of it as a cop in school, when it's really a resource officer who's trained in mental health and actually observation. I think the observation is probably higher on the list, because I don't know about you guys, but when I'm driving down the street, I'll see another car, but I can't tell you how many people are in it and who's driving and what kind of car it is, and the observation thing is way beyond me. I guess I just don't see, but I know that policemen do. And so I think having eyes in the schools is really, really important. So, I think that before we do anything, one of the things we're going to have to do is explain exactly what the duties of an SRO is, and exactly what kind of training they go through. It's not just a policeman, it's a school resource officer.
Correct.
So, we want to make sure on that.
Correct, yeah. SROs receive additional training as opposed to I guess, regular police officer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so that they're not just a cop with a gun in the school. The gun is not the important part.
Yeah, all
of their
officers
job.
carry, but SROs, they're responsible for a multitude of different things, aside from being a police officer. More of a liaison, for the families, staff, between, the police department, school, staff, and the children's families, like that.
Yeah, so I think that we'll have to do a good PR campaign. Ordinance number 973, the solid waste. I know that, we're having our second reading tonight, and, this committee has gone through it more than 12 times.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
you skipped item number 3.
Well, update on police grants.
Well, I jumped ahead, sorry, Sandy, I
Yep.
didn't see that, so I jumped in.
I figured you were ready, and Chief Schrock was, so.
In our last meeting, there was a request for staff to go out specifically and look at some additional grants. So I cast an A with that.
Ah.
You already have a copy of this.
I do, I have it on email, sir.
This was what she was able to find out, some grants that are out there available, and more specifically, probably the last one on that list, because the ask was based in the fact that we did not set aside any money in the budget for the planning that Resort Tax Committee wanted to have some planning and stuff. So there's one The timeline on that is next July, but this is the list that Danae went through and identified for us for some
Excellent,
possibilities, so. Just
excellent.
doing my homework.
You certainly did.
And I have the page 2 of here, I just didn't hand it out, it's just because it's blank, so if you want a piece of scratch paper, you can have it, but I pulled it out.
That's why it says one of two. No, this is good, and I think that we do need to start with the planning grant. For those in the audience here, the police department needs a new facility. They've worked with this old fire department next door for, I don't know,
1933.
1933, so they've swished and squished and done everything they possibly can. But there's going to need to be somewhere in our future, a new police facility. So we're trying to start the ball rolling, which will take years, but at least start the ball rolling. So this is good information. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
You're welcome.
Appreciate that. Okay. Back to solid waste. I know that we're gonna have our second reading tonight. Does anybody have any concerns over what we put together, or?
Nope.
No? Patty, you okay with that too?
Yeah, I like the update.
Madam
Mr. Mayor,
Chair,
yes.
I had a homework action that was assigned on that, had to do with the businesses and the options available for them to adhere, and there was a question that they were only able to use Republic.
Right.
There had been a comment about a legal challenge that somebody had previously who tried to come into town and do businesses. I followed up with Republic, and the information I received there is that is not a completely true statement. There are several businesses, and there is a process, and the businesses can go to McKinsey or any of the other. What happens is there's a utility, because this is what was the word somebody used on it, a controlled utility or something along those lines. They have to go through a process. There was a case a few years ago where somebody came in without going through that process at all, registering with the state or anything like that. And that was the company that got a cease and desist order, and the courts got involved, was because somebody was coming in and offering to do trash without playing by the rules that everybody else has adhered to. So the businesses do have the choice of going to other providers, as well as anybody who's wants private trash. They just have to make sure that they pick somebody who's playing by the rules.
Yeah, but how does the business find these rules?
The businesses aren't responsible for finding those rules, the providers are.
Providers.
So if I'm McKinsey and I wanna come in and do it, I have to register with the state and say, here I am, and I'm a license, and this is that, and these are the rules and everything.
Got it.
So it's just, they need to make sure that they get a reputable provider. If they get a non-reputable provider, then they will push, then that's when the other entities came in and said, this person's not playing by the rules. We can't compete against somebody who doesn't have to adhere to the rules.
Everybody has even playing
So,
field.
and that information was shared at our LBA yesterday as well, to the
Oh, good.
businesses,
Good.
so.
Yeah, because up until then, we thought it was a monopoly and that you had to use waste management.
It probably is. And then in the end, it probably is. But anyway, go ahead.
Yeah, well, they're cost effective coming up here to empty one trash hauler. Doesn't make any financial sense. But if they were really busy, and we get some competition, so I understand that the businesses pay different prices for the exact same service. So, it would be nice to have some competition in that area. So, we're okay with the solid waste ordinance update. I see public safety concerns, public works and police. Public works,
Madam Chair, so.
did I skip one?
No, that's the one, but that was actually my homework item as well. Following the concerns and repeated concerns, expressed from the folks down on Fifth and that area,
Yes.
we did have a staff meeting, and so that's why I've got Public Works and Police here, that we just kind of went through and discussed what the options were, what the options were not, particularly the scalability of that, recognizing that we have lots of neighborhoods in this town. And so, and Chief Schrock was not with us last time because he was on vacation, but I had just asked them to come in, and so they're both here if the committee or wants to ask questions or get updates from them, and or if there's residents that kind of want to talk. So that's why they're both invited here. And then they've both been invited that they don't necessarily need to stay the whole meeting. At that point, they just wanted to be here for that part, so.
Okay, perfect. And the problem is Fifth and Hauser is that, there's actually a speed sign there that says 15 miles per hour that is effectively blocked by a motorhome. And I understand that you or one of your officers went out to determine whether or not they were living in it, because camping on publicly owned property is not legal.
Correct.
And you found?
I found that, the vehicle was being charged because it's used as a work vehicle. The gentleman is contracted. He's a contracted employee for refineries. He keeps charges on his batteries, to which I did verify. There was nobody living in there. He does have a safety strap over the top of the cord that he is using to charge it with his own power at his house. In terms of a major safety concern for that going across the sidewalk, I didn't see one. I did explain the ordinances regarding parking, how long he can remain parked there, to which he actually did know, and the vehicle is moved at the it's
Minimum, yeah.
correct, and that's where, you know, the police department becomes stuck between a rock and a hard place, you know, yeah.
Yeah. And we talked about Public Works, we talked about putting the sign up higher, perhaps, so you could see it.
I've been told the sign was faded, so the guys did probably change by now. They went over this morning, we found new signs. So there should be a new sign there that could have faded out, what I was told.
Correct, yeah, yes, sir.
Haven't heard anything about making it taller.
Well, we were trying to figure out how to make it more visible, short of having him move his motorhome to 6.
Correct, it would be the same thing. Is it parked there often? Yes. Are there other motorhomes within the city limits that are parked possibly in front of speed limit signs? Also, yes. And one of the things that we discussed is we're looking at options. I have poured a lot of resources into that area specifically, as everybody within the city limits is entitled to police patrol in problem areas. This is one of the things that we have to look at. This is more from a public works standpoint. He can speak to it more, but if we were to go around and find every obstructed speed sign by a motorhome, trailer, cargo trailer, something like that, we would have to, they would have to jack up or rise every single sign that, you know, so.
And we did talk about actually painting.
Traffic on that street is local traffic. I mean, the tourist traffic goes over, there's probably people looking at the historic houses. They're probably not speeding or running stop signs. Most of the local people probably know it's 15 miles an hour.
Oh, I'd say probably not.
Yeah.
I'm out there quite often on Hauser Street, and I'm seeing lots of local people
No,
speeding and
but there's
running through the stop sign.
If you sit right here and look out this window, you'll
Yeah.
see
More than, yeah.
Within,
cars stop.
so just
It
to,
happens all the time.
yeah, just to,
I know that, yeah.
I mean, it's not unique to houses.
Well, we're just trying to figure out how to make that sign more visible, and maybe, you know, putting right on the road 15, a big white 15 at that point, then we're not gonna worry about a faded sign or a motorhome sitting in front of it. And I know that you have a pretty full schedule, and we were hoping to get that done before the snow.
My only issue with that is, at what point do we stop writing 15 on every intersection? And if that's what we wanna do, then it's gonna take away from
Everything.
a lot of other things, and, we can look at making it taller, we could look at moving it, but again, we're gonna go move all the other signs that are blocked.
What's the easiest way to get across to people that it's 15 miles an hour at that point?
I guess I still think that people know that, they're local.
I think that,
They've driven that street.
I think what we heard was that there was also commercial traffic heading to Ace and heading to the,
Yeah, that was brought up. Yeah, one of the things to keep in mind too is I can't speak for everybody, but I can speak for myself. I believe it's common knowledge that when you're around a park, playground, or school, that you're expected to reduce your speed, whether school is in session or not. Everybody kind of keeps an extra eye out for those reduced speed limit signs, especially around schools and parks. The other thing too is just to put it in perspective, when I met with Mr. Maples and the mayor yesterday, and we kind of had the staff meeting about this specific issue. During that 45 minutes, while we were sitting in this room here, I observed 3 people bust that stop sign right outside. So it's just, yeah, is it a problem on North Hauser? Yes, it is. Is it a problem in all other neighborhoods too? 100%, absolutely.
Chief, can you speak to, because one of the ideas that was presented was stand out here and just give tickets to everybody for a week or 3, or you know, to make sure that everybody's getting cited. Because it was pointed out that, yes, it is local, yes, people know, and yes, people break rules even when they know those are the rules.
Yeah.
Can you speak a little bit to that decision process and
Sure.
when you guys determine when to cite, when to not cite, et
Sure.
cetera, et cetera?
Absolutely. So I'm not known in my office for writing traffic tickets often. I rarely do traffic stops, but I do them. My job is, a lot of times it's more on the administrative side of things. I fly a desk a lot, the majority of time. It's definitely not what I want. Each officer in the police department and each law enforcement officer throughout the state of Montana has what we refer to as discretion. We decide, it's the officer's responsibility to decide whether or not to write a citation or cite somebody during a traffic stop. Now, obviously, there are barriers there, you know, for stuff like DUI, vehicle crashes where alcohol or drugs are involved. That's where discretion is taken out of our decision-making process. Not every single person that is stopped on a traffic stop needs a citation. That's my belief. A lot of times it's, you know, more of an educational stop than, you know, holding somebody financially responsible and taking money out of their pockets to teach them a lesson. I don't always agree with. Now, there are people that certainly do need traffic tickets, of course. However, citing somebody for a stop sign or a speed violation that's trying to get their kids to school on time and running late, and then, you know, taking money out of their pocket for a simple traffic violation. And now, if it's a repeated traffic violation, that's a different story, if it's the same person. But, you know, not only is there a cost associated with charging somebody with, you know, a traffic violation, you know, when insurance gets a hold of it too, that's a recurring cost to the driver too, and that's something that we keep in mind. Now, we don't give everybody a break. As I just said at the beginning of the meeting, there was 35 citations written in the month of August for traffic-related issues. But I just want the public to keep that in mind, that, you know, because RLPD, and I'll say it, and other police departments throughout the county have had a reputation for, way back in the day when I first started, for citing every single vehicle on a traffic stop, and that it's not perceived well, and it doesn't fix problems. You know, right now, in this modern day of law enforcement, we're trying to find other ways to resolve those issues than just tickets for everybody, because it just doesn't work.
so this committee's been hearing the problem for a couple of months now. Do you think that asking the mayor to ask the police department to stop people, not necessarily cite them, that would work?
The residents of North Hauser have been coming because they want white lines painted at Fifth and Hauser. If we painted lines at Fifth and Hauser, and could the residents of Fifth Avenue, whatever, stop coming to the meeting? How hard is it to get this done? Because they've been coming for 2 months asking for visual cues to stop.
It's on the list to do.
Okay?
My crew was out till 6 o'clock last night working on a water line.
Yeah, I know, I
There's a
understand.
sewer project going on, we have a street project starting.
But it's nice to hear from you that it's,
I mean, just for the record, I don't think it's gonna work.
okay?
And for the record, I think it's only gonna be effective maybe 4 months out of the year. Plows are gonna knock it off, it's gonna be covered up with snow half of the year. I honestly believe people know there's a stop sign there, they just don't stop. It's like,
I think he's right.
it's just like this one right here, I live right down there, and I watch all the time, I do it myself. Nobody stops at this stop sign.
I don't, I
By the time you
park
get
at
to
this
my
time.
house, the tourists that are trying to get back to Broadway to grab that parking spot are doing 35. And it's the same way on Hauser, on right across over here.
White Avenue also
I mean,
has very heavy
I
traffic flow.
honestly think that painting a white line there is not gonna make a difference, and it's gonna take us down a road where my neighbor said, we need white lines in Platt. And we start spending money on something that doesn't work, takes time, so we'll do it. But I just, those are my thoughts on it as a public works director.
I think the white line, like you said, is probably gonna be only effective, maybe 4 or 6 months when there's no snow on the ground that's been plowed and the ice has been compacted over it. It'll help, I mean, those are our highest traffic months, during the summer months, spring and summer and fall months. But the VPAN thing that we discussed when you were out, I think would be far more effective
That's
on a
gonna
more
happen.
permanent basis.
What is VPAN?
We're gonna pour a valley gutter
Oh,
on each side of that intersection as you go north and south, which will effectively slow people down.
okay.
But I
No,
think the bigger problem is that houses
We're
are
doing
being
it
used as a
for
bypass.
drainage,
It's being used as a
Yeah.
bypass.
but it'll serve a dual purpose.
Go across.
Perfect.
Goes
Okay.
across the road, Mike?
It'll follow, is that Fifth?
Yeah,
Yeah, fifth.
that's north.
It'll follow Fifth on both sides.
Got it.
It's basically part of
Basically,
the road
sidewalk
design.
to sidewalk, just like you see in most towns where they have.
Yep, got it.
Madam
Concrete valley.
Madam Chair, if I might.
Yes.
So one of the things that we discussed in the staff meeting, and one of the things that we have to be aware of from a city standpoint, and I am, you guys kind of know what our objectives are. We're a service organization, we get stuff done, but one of them is consistency. And one of the things that we're cautious of is that it is just not, this is one of many neighborhoods, and quite frankly, they all have issues. So what is something we can do? What we don't want to do is be the Facebook response time. The way to get something done in the city is badger them to death on Facebook or something until such a point as it gets done, because that's not scalable. We have to be able to do the same thing everywhere else. So and the white line, we have already agreed to, and it was not Mike's first choice, but my decision there was, if somebody else asks for a white line, we can do that, or, and we can be able to share them there. To me, as much as anything, it makes it that much easier for an officer's discretion to say, I'm gonna issue a ticket, because not only did you say, oh, I didn't know there was a stop sign, I didn't see the stop sign, but there was a white line on the road, it's July, you could see it. That gives them a little bit more information of that. So the white line came up, we talked about stenciling the speed limit in the sign, and we started talking about what the cost and the implication of that was, and how it's, like I said, right now, we're in the middle of $1 million sewer project, as well as the emergency things coming up. Mike and I reviewed his list, it's, 15 long, or 20 long of things that are out there. Some of those things are quick and easy, and they take care of that. There's a couple of faded 15-mile-an-hour signs, there's one there's one up kind of by the field, and so some of those things we're doing, if it's either low effort and always, can we do this universally across the city? If somebody else comes in tomorrow and says, we want to do this here, we want to do this here, we want to do this here, as part of the factor in the decision we're going for. So it's like, what's going to be effective? What can we do at scale? And there are some of those decisions that staff pushes back on, and I welcome that. And I think there is a validity to that. We can't go around and paint the speed limit on every road in town from a scale standpoint. It costs, and so that's so like I said, at this point, there is going to be a line going in at Fifth and Hauser. The road design is taking into account, hey, as we're addressing the water situation, we can put some gullies in there that'll have, in essence, work as a speed factor in there. But that's part of that decision, and that's part of staff's pushback. And we go back and forth. We don't always agree on everything, but it is one of those things they've been able to convince me of. Yeah, we can't do that at every intersection in town, and it's still not gonna solve it. And that, you know, we talk about kind of the rules of local government. Unfortunately, one of them is there is you're not gonna keep everybody happy all the time. So that's just kind of our logic as we walk through.
Ann?
We wanna keep this thing rolling, we got a lot of people who wanna talk.
I understand that, I've been watching
So
the
anyway,
clock.
that was any other questions specifically for staff or were there on that?
I'm good, thank you, Mike, thanks for coming.
Thank you, appreciate it,
Thank you, gentlemen.
thank you.
Sandy?
Yes, Patty,
On the public safety concerns, last meeting, I was tasked with asking, the Beartooth Children's Center or Boys and Girls Club to come and, share their opinion on the speed there over on North Willard. So are you there? Okay, great, thank you.
Chief, can you stay for a minute and I'll see if Mike,
I'm sorry.
this is the Boys and Girls Club, so this is still part of the same issue.
Oh, great, thank you.
and children's centers and the,
Nice to meet you, Grant. Pleasure.
Thank you for showing up.
Although I'm glad that conversation that we had involved them.
as well.
Yes.
My name's Grant, I'm the new program director here for the Boys and Girls Club at Red Lodge.
Great.
And with that main street that both of our buildings are on, I've seen people just fly by.
Yeah.
And we have this little yellow, like, stop sign in with a little flag's kind of gone, but you can see he's neon yellow. He's been run over, I've been here
Oh,
since
my
June,
God.
he's been run over probably 10 times in the span of, in summer.
Oh.
So it's a safety thing for not only my staff, the kiddos that we watch, as well as, when he gets run over, he gets in the road, and he gets, hit by another car and fly by. So it's a big safety concern. My staff have been doing it for years, the ones who've been in the Boys and Girls Club. So I think we need something better than this will do.
Have you noticed that that's cornering traffic, like trucks and stuff? We've noticed that sometimes when those are too close to the intersection.
We try to keep him right on the corner so people can see him. He's like not even in the street as much. He's in the street just a little bit, but people still turn that corner and hit him. And I've fixed him many times, pull him up, and he's resilient. He'll take a couple hits.
So
But 10 hits is a lot.
I'll ask, I remember, I'll ask, I remember a few of my guys were investigating a theft that occurred, close to that intersection. You guys did have surveillance in there?
We have cameras all around the building that
Perfect.
should be working.
Okay. When it struck, is that captured on your guys' surveillance? Because, I mean, like, it's kind of a two-part question, because number one, if people are running over that sign, that is something that does warrant a citation.
Okay.
Number two, if it does happen, I would like to see the video, that way I can potentially identify the vehicle.
I can do that. I can make sure it's in the camera zone, because that's.
Great.
Some of our cameras, I don't know the camera system, but, because I'm super new, but I can figure out, I can talk to my boss, who's the CEO.
Great.
Of Boys and Girls Club.
Okay.
This committee did discuss perhaps closing down that section, because you've got Boys and Girls Club, you've got the Children's Center, you've got the parks.
And the moose,
And the
moose
skate park.
trails and stuff like that, and I've seen people speed from there all the way down, and it's kind of annoying after a while, like, standing in the road with people, like, having to have the vest on or whatever, but
Is there one particular time of the day or two particular times of day where your traffic for the Boys and Girls Club or for the Children's Center is heavier than others? The problem is if we close that street down, then the trucks and commercial will end up in the residential area. And so we're creating another problem by trying to fix a problem.
yeah, I don't think closing it down isn't necessary, maybe a flashing sign that says, like, shoulder.
Flashing?
Maybe a raised, crosswalk, I don't know, maybe speed bumps.
I'd imagine your heavy traffic is during drop-off and pickup,
That's what I was,
morning hours and later afternoon?
It is, yeah.
Okay.
We actually don't have, they have morning, we
we don't follow the school pickup time, so for us, it fluctuates.
Okay.
Fluctuates all day?
Yeah, but I mean, I've also seen, people from down by the post office, just 30 miles an hour, just
Just
all
fly
the
down.
way, fly down and completely miss that stop sign. And it's, it's just one of those things where you would hate for a tragedy, something like that to happen before,
Yeah,
we really do.
we'd like to get ahead of
All
it.
day long. We're outside all summer long, so, my teachers were all watching and people, it's so inappropriate to have
Yeah.
people drive through there. I mean, it's clearly a park, a skate park, a school. It's really awful.
For us, we don't have like morning care, but we do have afternoons, so we take the kids, walk them down to the Boys and Girls Club from the school. But we have kids getting picked up from 3:30 to 6 every single day, so. And we go to the park every single day, from like 5 o'clock on till 6 is, kids can go to the park and have kids crossing the street, and I make sure, like, I'm really cautious about them crossing the street because people, and I've seen it many times where I'm like, I've almost been hit, I'm like, this is really bad. People,
Kids, like, walk out,
Yeah.
and that's the thing, is they're kids, like, they're not thinking about that.
and we tell them look both ways, but still, some people driving are like, oh,
Public Works, what if we put in speed bump? Is the VPAN the same as the speed bump, just in opposite direction?
Yeah, I mean, the valley gutter that we're putting in on Fifth it has nothing to do with traffic control. It was solely for channeling stormwater towards the inlets. I don't know if that's applicable there. We don't have a street project right there. A speed bump would work. It would have to be something that would be only there in the summer, because the plows would tear it up. So it would have to be installed, taken out. I think, I could go down there and look at it, just, I don't pay attention a whole lot, even though I drive through there all the time, but I feel like if we trim the trees around there pretty heavily, would that help? It seems kind of like it's claustrophobic in there, I don't know.
yeah, it's just, I think that would help, but
I mean, just to give some more visibility, that would be an option.
The trailer's fine.
Okay.
I am looking at these new crosswalks, and hopefully we're gonna get some yet this year and try them out, and they're the ones that the DOT uses, where they burn them down. They do have a little bit of a, they're a little taller, but you can feel them when you drive over them, and they stand out more, and they last longer.
And they'll last through snow
5 or 6
plowing?
years. I'm looking at some of those, we could install one of those there.
Well, I'm gonna leave it to you and the mayor to see what you can come up with. We are at the last 15 minutes of the meeting, and I did promise to turn this into public comment. So, we're
Thank you, guys.
open for public comment. Who would like to speak? I'm assuming that it's about the, plane crash that happened. Thank you so much. Yeah, Kristen, because it's being recorded, would you state your name and address?
You bet. My name is Kristen Cogswell, my address is 620 19th Street West. The plane crashed in my yard, 30 feet from where my husband and I were standing. My son was also present. I presently have an unknown amount of fuel and oil in my yard. I'm spending time with the FAA, I'm spending time with safety people, insurance companies, attorneys, and, I have other things to do. I'm outside the runway protection zone. It's my understanding that, all the crashes were outside the runway protection zone. I've given you a little short history of these aren't new problems. These are problems that were in existence when I was mayor. And I've warned the airport board, and I've warned the city the city has copies of all these letters. Nothing's been done about it, the buck keeps getting passed. This isn't an FAA issue, and I know that that's the rumor, is that it's an FAA. It's not an FAA airport. And we've been talking to FAA people, and they consistently say this isn't an FAA issue, this is a local control issue. And the airport board isn't taking care of it. It's interesting, because the mayor says that, well, everybody's gotta adhere to the rules, right? And I know there's a couple pilots who are active complainers about the speed issues on Hauser, but I want those requirements enforced at the airport, because it jeopardized my family's lives, all right? And everybody knows that there's a residence at the airport. That's not okay with the FAA.
Let's-
Everybody knows that, there's boats and RVs and all sorts of crap. I have pictures of it in the hangars. The airport board knows that, they don't do anything about it. The city knows that, the city doesn't do anything about it. If you read those packets later on, you can tell. I warned everybody, and I don't make it up, you know. I would encourage you to keep all conflicts of interest out of this. If you have a plane or, you know, I think we all know the mayor is.
I may stop you there,
I understand.
simply to state that the city council is the voting person here. So the city council does the voting. In the last, year and 8 months, the current mayor has never voted on anything regarding the airport.
Yes,
So let's not talk about conflict of interest. Let's look at the problem
yes,
and see what we can do. And I understand that it's pretty scary
yes.
having a plane crash next to
Mhm.
your house. I did go by,
Mhm.
and I kinda cheated where, oh, he's gone. I kinda went around those signs to see, you know, what it was, how close it was, and all of that, but obviously it's more than that. And of course, we are concerned about not only your safety, but the
Yeah.
safety of our pilots as well.
Okay,
So-
and I'll just let you know, there were probably about, 900 people who came by and took pictures, and not one was from the council or the.
One was me. Want to see
Well,
my picture?
Okay, but you know what? Nobody came, there were a lot of people that came in my yard. There
Oh.
were other people that expressed their condolences, not one airport board member. I'm just saying.
You know, and I know-
Excuse me?
I feel a little sad that your biggest concern is you as opposed to the pilots that we're having to take to the hospital.
The pilots were at their own risk, not mine. Okay, that's the problem. You're not in
Keep your
charge of the
voice
pilots.
down,
You're in
or I'll
charge.
call the police chief back in. We're
And
not
you're
gonna have a
welcome.
yell thing here. I did go ahead and give you more time than I had planned. I thought everybody would get a 3-minute.
Let me finish.
Is anyone else available for a 3-minute, or
Excuse me, I would
will
like to
you
finish.
give your 3 minutes
I
to,
would like to provide
To
some
Ms.
information
Cogswell?
that you do not know. Before your term, the council turned the matter over to the mayor, just so you know.
I do know. I
Okay.
I attended every one of those
Okay.
meetings
I'm just.
prior
saying
to my term.
So I'll move on. I would like to reiterate, it's not an FAA airport. And I would like, you know, the bias, we all know right from wrong. We all know planes shouldn't be crashing in residential zones, okay? We all know this is the third one. Let's take care of it. Let's do the right thing. I'm relying on you guys. It needs to happen. And if you don't, you know, at least for now, put a moratorium on flights unless they're official at the airport. Do that at the very minimum. It's all city land and you guys are in charge. It's not the FAA, it's nobody else. It's you guys. At least call a special meeting and put a moratorium on the airport, okay? You all know what the right thing is, so I'll
Thank you.
let some other people speak.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'll speak.
Well, could I have your name and address, please?
My name's Richard Cross, 62119.
Okay.
So I'm the house next to where the plane crashed.
On the south side? South,
North.
North side.
the north side, okay.
So, there's been 3 crashes,
Mhm.
one up there on the top, 2 within sight of our house. one accident, one plane crash is like an accident.
Mhm.
3, to me, is a program. It's like more than an accident. And they're all antique planes, and I believe they're all antique pilots. So it seems to me that something needs to be done. And when I read into it, I don't see that there's a mechanism for something to be done, because there's no tower, it's not controlled, the FAA has no say. They'll come and make some report, which will be absolutely meaningless to us, might be meaningful to routines at the airport, but it'll be meaningless to us. Those planes are still flying out of the pattern, too low, turning in low, turning out low, coming right over our house where they shouldn't be, all the time. It's like the Wild West cowboys up there, and there's nobody to enforce anything on them. So it's not surprising, it's not a question of if accidents happen, it's when they happen and who gets killed by them. And I don't give a damn about the pilots. Do you want to care about the pilots?
Mhm.
The pilots choose to be there. That's their sport. They're not doing it for a job. They're playing with their toys. They're rich boys playing with their toys. That's their right. They can do that. I do that. But then if it's not their right to crash on my house or next to it and make us fearful that every time we hear a plane go over, wondering whether or not it's going to land in our yard. So who is responsible? I think it might be the airport board. I doubt their insurance is enough. I've looked at it. If they kill me, that insurance is not going to cover it. So if I was the airport board, I'd be worried right now, and I'd be doing something about it. So, and I'm angry. So there, I'm done.
And you deserve to be. Anyone else? Yes.
Rod Fordow, I live at 620 West 19th Street. I watched the plane crash out my window. Looking out a window and you see a yellow streak goes by, it's your attention. Ground shook. I didn't see him flip over, but he's lucky he's alive. Ripped the engine out, oil all over my yard, fuel. It was gushing out of the plane. In a normal year, it would have been dry. A static spark could have started that in 1 second, and half the town would have been burned off on that stench. We were lucky this time. We've been lucky the last 2 times. I met with the FAA guy investigating. He said, this is a local control issue. This is not FAA. You need to do something from council. This is verbatim what he told me. And if we don't do something locally, we're in trouble. And that's all I have to say.
Thank you. Yes.
Michael Grouse, I live at 19th and Hauser. Again, I just think, in the interest of public safety, we really have to hold operators of vehicles responsible for their behavior. I was a little surprised to hear Chief Schrock say that he sits and sees 3 people blow through the stop sign, and acted like that was par for the course in the city. I do a lot of bike riding and walking, and I see a lot of people speeding and going through stop signs, and I just think if there were 176 stops and you only give 30-some tickets, 18% of the time you give them an actual ticket. If a lady is speeding or a man taking their kids to school late and they run over a bike rider or someone in a crosswalk, that's not a fair trade. He should have left earlier. He should have left earlier. I think as public safety committee, you need to give instruction and encouragement to enforce the rules. I mean, take the stop sign down if we're not going to care if people blow through it. Take the 15-mile-an-hour sign down if it's ineffective or blocked, or if we're not going to care about it. We don't get that many opportunities to do things right, and we have to learn from what we see. So I think we need to enforce the rules and be really smart about it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Ken?
This interest, I don't know anything about airports, but I think it's gonna come back and say it's a lot of pilots, that they're bad pilots. But is there some sort of number that you have to take off at, some elevation you have to take off at? And how do you enforce that? I mean, I'm with you, I understand, but how do you enforce, the takeoff elevation?
I think, just a comment, I think, since that crash, I will say I have seen far fewer planes taking off in an illegal fashion.
But what's illegal, Rod?
It's up, yeah, how do you enforce, I don't know, but you can make an ordinance at a local level to make it illegal. I'm quite sure.
We're gonna have to do some research, obviously, but.
I'm quite sure that the city police cited this particular pilot with a misdemeanor. So that is actually a possibility. I don't know what was cited for, and I wouldn't expect our local police to do so. But that is an option, you make it illegal. If something happens, maybe you have some grounds to stand. But you've got to do something with some sort of legislation or something, or deal with the airport board itself.
Again, that's why I think it would be good to have a moratorium, because while people figure these things out, our community is in peril. Chris, I agree, but, you know, there are all kinds of pilots. You know, they can fly as long as they want to. That, you know, they don't have an age limit except for commercial people. No, but they can fly badly, they can show off, they failed to make preparations. And there's just so many kinds of pilots out there. I don't know how you shut down the airport. I don't know if we can shut down an airport. No, but I've never heard of that before. That's correct, but you can make it so that they have to behave responsibly. You can ensure that you can ensure that the hangars are used for. I think that's another topic which we're looking at.
We're talking public health and safety, let's
Yes.
stick to safety.
And I am.
Okay.
There's safety reasons why the FAA does not allow those things. And this is why, you know, your lack of knowledge is why we really need council to step up and understand what's going on and be more aware of that city land, okay? It's a city liability.
We understand that, but we also have an airport board who does know what the rules are regarding pilots, regarding takeoff.
I think
which
there's
is-
two people on
these
the
are
airport
people-
board. Do you want to inform it? We have, 1 minute. What is the rule?
We actually have 3 minutes, and then I'm going to
3
adjourn because
Okay.
we have to, we normally stop at a
You don't
quarter
know?
of. This
Madam
clock,
Chair,
this
people are
clock.
welcome to come to the council meeting.
Richard, do you know?
I'll mention that as well,
You, Dick, I'm sorry.
either one.
Well, so I'm Bo Ewald, and I am on the airport board, and I was appointed to the airport board by the ex-mayor.
Okay.
And I am a pilot, and I do own a hangar, and, the fellow who, you know, it was unbelievable, and the fellow feels so horrible about it.
I'm sure.
Thankfully, they were okay, as well as you guys were okay. And I believe it wasn't a takeoff issue, but actually when the FAA finishes their investigation, I think you'll hear that the fellow was landing. The landing got out of control, and then he was trying to get back in the air. And that's what led to all of this, and it was just a whole series of bad things that happened.
Okay.
Bo, I'm kind of curious, it seems that in this area is a big open field. Is that why pilots, if they're in trouble, their engine quits or whatever, they aim for an empty field? I mean, is there any control? I mean, is that why there's been 2 in that field in the last 3 years?
Well, from some personal experience, I had an engine quit, as some of you know. And of the 3 bad choices to land, when that, you have like 1 second to figure out what to do.
Yeah.
And I was on a normal takeoff path and was, the engine conked out on this, 90-year-old airplane. And my choices were to try to land on the cliff, which was gonna be horrible, or to try to coast further and land in a field there, which I knew I wasn't gonna make, or to run in because of the power lines were there, or to sort of mush into the top of a big cottonwood tree, which was what I did, thinking that that was by far the best thing to do, since there were no people there. It was me and a cottonwood tree, and, you know, that was by far the best thing to do, but you have like a nanosecond to figure out what to do. And in this case of this fellow who just had the accident, and I think I was, when my engine crunked out, I was more or less on a direct takeoff from the airport. And that was how I ended up in the cottonwood tree. I think that when the FAA investigation is complete, you will hear that there were a series of things that happened to this fellow which caused his airplane to veer to the left when he was trying to get back in the air after a landing gone bad, and that's how he ended up.
Okay, it is, 8:50. Everyone is, welcome to come to the city council meeting tonight. It's in this room between 6 and 8. You know, the city council will listen to anyone for 3 minutes. Anyway, I'm gonna officially adjourn the meeting.
Thank you, Sandy.
Can you do it afterwards?
I can.
Because we do have to,
There's another meeting.
there's another meeting, so I'm gonna officially adjourn. Thank you for coming.
Hey, Grant, what's your